Praise be to God, children. Good morning. So, in the previous class, we started our 8th chapter, which is the second part of Latin Church of Kerala. In that chapter, we were dealing with the continuation of our Kunan Oath. We learned about the Kerala Church and arrival of the Dutch, where we saw about a book which was named as Hortus Malabaricus, which was about the medicinal plants and was written by Father Matthews, and this is how he impressed the Dutch governor. Then we saw because of their friendship we got a church named Mount Carmel Church, Chatiet. Then we saw about the Padrado and Govan schism. We know what it is, the Padrado and propaganda authority, and how the propaganda authority was widely accepted by Rome. Then what all things happened, why the people formed a new schism, that is the Govan schism, where the people who were the sympathizers of Padrado became angry and they were against the propaganda missionaries. So all these were the things that we have revised in our previous class. Now today we are moving on to our next topic, that is the Rocco schism and Latin Church in Kerala. During this period of Varapura Viceroy, Apostolic Archbishop Bernardine Bassanelli, the church in Kerala broke. What happened? Again, there is a division. We saw a division during the Kunan Oath. Now again we are dealing with another division. This event came to be called the Rocco schism. So what is this Rocco schism? We saw about the upcoming of the Varapura diocese. So during the period of Varapura Viceroy Apostolic, Archbishop Bernardine Bassanelli, the church in Kerala broke, and this event is known as the Rocco schism. The main reason for the division was the strong stand taken by the Archbishop Bernardine not to ordain seminarians trained by Malpens. It's not Malapens, it's Malpens. Okay, so who are these Malpens? Malpens are Indian cleric of Malankara church, insisted on the rules of church. These people follows the rules of the church and they are Indian cleric. But here the Archbishop Bernardine said that the people who are trained by Malpens should not be appointed as seminarians. The training imparted by Malpens in theology seminary was incomplete and inadequate. The entire theology training was done under a single Malpen. Archbishop Bernardine gave instruction to ordain only those who had training at Elturuttu, Varakulam, Mananam and Varapura seminaries. So, all these training was done under a single Malpen. And what did he do? That is, what did the Archbishop Bernardine did is that he gave instruction to ordain only those who had training at Elturuttu, Varakulam, Mananam and Varapura missionaries. Because in these seminaries, the Malpens are not the one who gave training. Not heeding to the instruction of Archbishop, certain Malpens took their seminaries to Chaldean Patriarch, who refused to receive them. That is what happened. In this circumstance, the Malpens insisted for a Syrian bishop. Since this bishop was not Syrian, again there arose a lot of problems. That is, he wanted to ordain only those who are those who have trained under their priest, and did not allow the Malpens to give training, or even if they have given some training to some missionaries, they are not ordained. In this circumstance, the Malpens insisted for a Syrian bishop. In 1861, the Chaldean Patriarch, without the consent of Rome and for selfish motives, ordained Roccos as bishop and sent him to Kerala. See, this is how the name Rocco schism came. It was the name of the bishop. This was a Chaldean bishop. What was our aim? In the Kunan Oath, we saw that one aim was to bring back the Christians who are under the Chaldean Patriarch. We have seen who are these Chaldean Patriarchs. Chaldean Patriarchs are people or cleric people who did missionary works and who ruled Babylonia. Why do these people want to come here, and why are they leading the Kerala church? That was not in need. That is the reason why the other bishops came up. But here the Syrians wanted a Syrian bishop, and they approached the Chaldean Patriarch, and without the consent of Rome, they did not get any consent from Rome to appoint a Chaldean Patriarch. But still, for their motives, for their selfish motives, they ordained Rokos as bishop and sent him to Kerala. Who? The Chaldean Patriarch. For what? For the happiness or for the selfish motives of Syrian. Okay. Several faithful believed in false declarations of Rokos and his companions. See, Rokos started spreading. See, it is named as Rokosism, which is against the opposition of the Pope. We have learned what is heresy and what is schism. Schism is something that is not subjected or against the declaration of Pope. So he started spreading the false declarations. When all the efforts to bring the faithful back to Catholic faith failed with the knowledge of Pope, Archbishop Bernardine was forced to excommunicate Rokos. So Rokos was excommunicated. That is, he was forced to leave the place because he was spreading all the false doctrines. And he started and since they were fed up, since the Archbishop Bernardine was fed up with all these false doctrines, he was forced to excommunicate him with the consent of Pope. Now let's see what is excommunication. The principle and the service censure, a medicinal, spiritual penalty that deprives the guilty Christian of all participation in the common blessings of ecclesiastical society. See, nothing complicated. It just means that if a Christian in any participation in the church, if he is found guilty, he can be taken away or he can be withdrawn from all his works and he should move back to his original place. That is what excommunication is. Okay. Rokos refused to withdraw. Even though the Archbishop Bernardine excommunicated him with the consent of the Pope, he refused to go back. As a result of the work done, at this time, Father Chavra Kyriakos, who was acceptable by Syrians, was deputed to save the faithful from Rokos. See, actually, the Syrians wanted a strong community. That's all. They don't want to spread false doctrines. But when they approached the Chaldean Patriarch, they, for their selfish motives, sent Rokos as bishop. And he started spreading that. And the poor people didn't understand what is truth and what is false. So, but here, Father Chavra Kyriakos' father was actually acceptable to Syrians. So he came in, and as a result of the work done under the leadership of Archbishop Bernardine in collaboration with Father Kyriakos and co-workers, Rokos left Kerala in 1862. Since the Archbishop Bernardine was not that acceptable to the Syrians, they did not believe what he said. But Father Chavra Kyriakos was always acceptable to Syrians because of their collaborated work. He went back to his place in 1862, and thus Kerala was saved from a false doctrine. Now, let's see what is Malicism. The Malicism. At the time of the First Vatican Council, the Chaldean Patriarch once again tried to have strong hold on church in Kerala. See, the Chaldean Patriarch again wanted to come back to Kerala and they wanted to rule and spread the false doctrines to Kerala. So again they started trying. Pope Pius IX strongly opposed this. At the same time, a group of Christians from Kerala continued their demand for a bishop from Chaldean rite. Even though they accepted the decision of Father Chavra Kyriakos, still some people again wanted a Chaldean bishop. Disobeying Pope. The Pope Pius IX has opposed of coming of a Chaldean patriarch here again, but disobeying the Pope in October 12, 1874. Rocos left Kerala in 1862. Now again another thing happened in 1874. The Patriarch sent Bishop Malus. See, the other one was Roccoism. Now this is Malicism. Bishop Malus of Chaldean Rite. The Bishop Malus of Chaldean Rite came to Kerala. Bishop Malus settled in Our Lady of Sorrow Church, Thrissur, and started working against the Latin Church and its missionaries. See, this is a problem. He came here and he is making the division much more bigger. He doesn't want any unity but a division in Kerala Church. This came to be known as Malicism. The same thing was Roccoism, right? When Bishop Roccos, who was from a Chaldean patriarch, came here and started spreading all the false doctrine, it was known as the Roccoism. Now again here, Bishop Malus, who came from the Chaldean patriarch in 1874, started spreading the false doctrine as well as he started working against the Latin Church. This is known as the Malicism. Both the schisms are named after the bishop who came from the Chaldean patriarch. Even before Bishop Malus arrived in Kerala, it was informed that he was arriving without the permission of Holy See. Holy See means the Pope, and that steps should be taken to save the faithful from him. Even before he came here, the message was sent that he is coming and we need to protect our faithful from his hands because he is so brilliant and he can change the mindset of the people. Through a pastoral letter, Apostolic Vicar Leonardo Milano informed the faithful about the ugly work of Bishop Malus and excommunicated him. And thankfully, since the message had arrived here earlier itself, the Apostolic Vicar Leonardo Milano informed the faithful about all his ugly works. He convinced the people that he came here for a division. He is not of true doctrine, and because of that, he was excommunicated. Finally, as a result of the organized work of Apostolic Vicar Monsignor Leonardo Milano and co-workers, Malus returned on March 5, 1882. See, he came on 1874 and returned, or he was excommunicated and he went back on 1882, March 5th. Similar activities to divide the Kerala Latin Church can be seen from time to time. The contribution of missionaries in preventing the division in Latin Church and keeping it united and rooted in faith is invaluable. See, here you can see in the earlier history of the church we saw about the persecutions. That was what happened during that time. People were killed because they followed the faith. When we overcame all this, in Kerala what happened is that there were many external agents that are like the Chaldean patriarchs. They wanted to divide the Kerala church. And as a result, a lot of schisms was there. What you have to study is about the Roccoism and Malicism. In short, both these were the names of the bishops who came from the Chaldean patriarch who wanted to spread the false doctrine in Kerala and divide the community. And they were working against the Latin Catholic Church. And this is not the end. Again, a lot more things had happened, but our missionaries were so keen and vigilant, and they had a very great role in keeping it united and rooted in faith. Now, let's see about the establishment of hierarchy and reconstructing of Kerala Latin Church. Pope Leo XIII on September 1, 1886, through the apostolic letter Humani Salutis Auctor, established Catholic hierarchy in India. So, what led to or how the establishment of hierarchy occurred? It was on September 1, 1886. By Pope Leo XIII, he wrote an apostolic letter Humani Salutis Auctor and was established by the and thus Catholic hierarchy was established in India. The Viceroy of Varapura was raised to Archdiocese. This is how the Varapura became the Archdiocese. Kollam was made a suffragan diocese of Varapura. At that time, Syrian Christians were under Varapura. On May 20, 1887, Syrian Christians were completely separated from Varapura, and for them, Kottayam and Thrissur Viceroys were established. See, this is what our Syrian community wanted, right? They wanted to be separate, but with no conflict, with no opposition, right? For that they survived, for that they looked for the Chaldean Patriarch, but they came here and created a division. But here what happened is that earlier the Syrian Christians were under the Varapura diocese, then they were separated as Kottayam and Thrissur Viceroys. Accordingly, the separation between Latin Catholics and Syrian Catholics was complete. See, we learned about the different rites. In that chapter also I have told you, there is a division. There is a complete separation, but all these have a single motive to be a part of Jesus Christ. Same thing is here. We were separated. We have two different dioceses. Even if you look now, you can see Trivandrum is a Latin diocese and Kottayam and Thrissur, all these are Syrian dioceses. But we don't have any conflicts. We don't have any opposition against anyone. We respect their and our culture. The cultures are different. The rites are different. But we all are united through one person, the Jesus Christ. Now let's see about Alapura. We learned about Kollam, Varapura, then Kottayam and Thrissur. And what about Alapura? In 1886, Varapura was raised as an archdiocese. We have learned that. Kollam was a suffragan diocese of Varapura. That too we have learned. As per the contract between Rome and Portugal, Kochi continued to be under the Pastoral diocese of Goa. See, we learned about the Pastoral authority, and by that agreement, Kochi continued to be under the Pastoral diocese of Goa. After that, 5 Pastoral bishops served Kochi diocese, because 5 bishops have served Kochi diocese, and all of them were from the Pastoral diocese. Through a decree issued by Propaganda Fide on September 15, 1953, Kochi became a suffragan diocese of Varapura. Again, Kochi became a suffragan diocese of Varapura on 1953. Thus, overcoming several difficulties, the Latin Catholic Church reached its present form. The contributions made by Kerala Latin Church to the educational and cultural sphere of Kerala was spearheaded by the missionaries, especially the Jesuit and Carmelite missionaries. By learning about the history of the Latin Church in Kerala, you might have understood how important the roles of missionaries were. It is only because of their work we are sitting here and preaching the word of the God. Like the missionaries, we too are bound to offer our services to ensure the unity and growth of church in Kerala. So, children, this is the end of your 8th chapter, that is the Latin Church. Now, in this chapter, what you have learnt is about the second part or the continuation of your 7th chapter, Latin Church of Kerala. At first, you saw about the coming of the Dutch, then about the Pastoral and Propaganda authority, the Goan system, then comes the Rocco system, then comes the Malay-system, and finally the hierarchy where the Syrians were separated as the Thrissur and Kottayam diocese. Then we saw about the Alapura also. Now all these we saw where it comes, and all these have given us an idea about the upcoming or about the development of the Latin Catholic Church in Kerala. So please go through the textbook. You can understand that it is not much complicated. And our next chapter is the Kerala Latin Church and its educational and cultural renaissance. How it helped our educational and cultural systems. So with this, we can conclude our 8th chapter. Hope it's clear for you, and thank you.